Welcome to the Command Ops Game Concepts movie. This movie is aimed at those who are new to wargaming or who are new to the Command Ops wargame engine. In this movie, we will look at the fundamental concepts underlying the game engine, namely high fidelity modelling of space and time, macro management, the command process, and orders delay. When we began designing the game engine, back in 1995, we wanted to provide a simulation that was as realistic as possible. One that put the player in the role of a commander of a corps, division or brigade, making realistic decisions based on the information that would be available to a commander at that level and at that particular time. It had to capture the process of accessing the situation, developing plans, issuing orders and reacting to developments. It had to model orders delay and force the commander to think and plan ahead. It had to acknowledge that an operational commander achieved his objectives by relying on his subordinate commanders to do their assigned jobs. In other words, an operational commander generally macro-manages rather than micro-manages. One of the fundamental conclusions we came to was the need for high fidelity when modelling space and time. These are key components to any wargame simulation. Traditional turn-based, hex-based operational level wargames use low fidelity modelling with a turn representing several hours or days and a hex grid measuring kilometres across. We opted instead to use 1-minute time intervals and 100-metre movement grids. This allowed us to model the effects of small differences in time and space that, when compounded over a large duration or a large area, make a real difference. Using 100-metre movement and terrain grids allowed us to model more accurate maps and deployment of units. Units can deploy along the forward edge of woods to be able to see and fire on the enemy in the open at long range, or they can deploy in the middle of a town to ambush the enemy at close range. Unlike traditional hex-based wargames, where units occupy the hex they are in and jump from one hex to another, units in Command Ops can occupy multiple grids and move in small increments of 1 metre. But probably the most noticeable and significant difference is in the modelling of time. In traditional turn-based games, the game is run by processing a series of steps or phases within a series of turns. In Command Ops, it is processed by a series of events. Every minute, all units process their current event and schedule their next event for the next minute. This event-driven process is used in what is commonly referred to as real-time strategy games. But unlike these games, you can pause the game and still access data and issue orders. Moreover, events are processed continuously as fast as the machine's processor can handle, or as set by the player. Most of the time this will see game time being run at an accelerated rate compared with real time. E.g., you can run a whole day of game time in 1 hour of real time. That's why we refer to this system as pausable continuous time, or PCT. In nearly all other wargames, you have to issue orders to each and every unit, and if they're turn-based, you invariably have to do that each and every turn. This micromanagement is both unrealistic and tedious. Real-life commanders do not issue orders to every unit under their command, nor do they have to repeat this process every step of the way. Rather, they issue orders to a few subordinate commanders and let them manage the forces assigned to them. In other words, they use their command structure and macro-manage. For macro-management to work, the commander has to be able to trust that his subordinate commanders will do a reasonable job. In real life, the competencies of subordinates can vary quite a bit, and that is why good commanders keep a watchful eye on their subordinates. For this to work in a simulation, the artificial intelligence, or AI, needs to be powerful enough to do a reasonable job of managing subordinate forces. And having such an AI lies at the heart of Command Ops. Yes, the AI will sometimes get it wrong, just like real-life subordinates do, but overall you can trust it to do a reasonable job of managing your subordinates. In real life, commanders tend to command 2 levels down. E.g., let's take a typical army command structure of a corps comprising 3 divisions of 3 brigades, of 3 battalions, of 3 companies. The corps commander would typically issue orders to brigades, while the divisional commander orders his battalions. This means that a commander would typically be ordering around 9 or so line subordinates, plus several support subordinates like artillery and engineers. However, in command ops, there is nothing stopping you from issuing orders to each and every unit. You can micromanage if you wish, it's just that you don't need to, and once you learn to trust the AI to do a reasonable job, you'll find that you will only tend to micromanage in a few critical spots, just like a real commander does. In this example, we're going to be highlighting the power of the AI to manage your subordinates. We're going to give a simple attack order to KG Holtmeier, which is a German armoured regiment. We're going to see the AI manage the subordinates from that simple attack order right through the move to the forming up place, the reorg at the forming up place, and the assault. Okay, we select the regimental headquarters and we attach a Panther battalion as well. We set the first waypoint at the forming up place and the second one at the final objective. We set the formation to line, artillery direct support only, and maximum aggro, and we then start the game running. You'll note the individual battalions move in road column to the forming up place, and here you can see their individual unit tasks. Once they get to the forming up place, they'll shake out into assault formations. The line units will be forward, the headquarters and mortar units will be to the rear. The mortars will provide fire support to the assaulting line units throughout the battle. H-hour means the start of the assault, and they're away. You'll notice that each of the units are advancing in line, and they each have their individual assault objectives. Now, all that was done with a simple order. With this power and trust in your subordinates, you as the commander are now at liberty to focus on what real-life commanders focus on, i.e., what is the enemy, where is he, what's he doing, how can I counter his plans, and how can I achieve my objectives. Macro management allows you to think ahead, to anticipate developments, develop contingencies, monitor those developments, and if need be, react to them. For many players of traditional turn-based hex wargames, this requires a bit of a paradigm shift in the way you approach the game. Please bear with it. It won't take that long to adjust the way you play, the way you command. After a little while, you'll find it difficult to go back to micromanaging everything.